So awful. I came in here on Saturday, Garrett and I did. Oh my gosh, the office was
Somebody had
insane.
it turned way.
They were off.
Oh,
They were off. This one's been off. I don't know. It's a mess. Okay, we are ready when you guys are.
Okay, we're on the clock, so I will call this meeting to order of the DeKalb County Commissioners, and the date is Halloween. Actually, the date is October 31st, 2022. Good morning, Dottie.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, let's see. I had some handouts for you. The schedule for your department head performance appraisals is set, and so you have that in front of you. The only one who is not on the schedule is the Veterans Services Officer, and Mike and Bill have both responded to when it could be done. Now, would you guys like to just contact her directly, take the middleman out of the mix or whatever? Because I could do it. But
Yeah, we can.
The other thing on that is if you guys say collaborate next Monday, if only one of you meet with her, then we don't have to advertise another executive session.
right, yeah.
Yeah, just one.
Yep.
You want it or I?
Okay.
You want it?
Yeah, that's fine.
You do? Okay.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, fantastic. All right, she will be very happy to hear that. All right. And just in case, Amy Prosser is her council liaison. So if you, I know that she's dealt with Rhonda a bit in this last year, so you might want to pick her brain on anything. And I know you guys have had some interactions with Rhonda also, so you know that's just an idea. So there's that. Our hiring, the Extension Office has selected someone, and that person will start November the 17th. Community Corrections has interviews scheduled this week for their part-time administrative assistant. On Title 4D, their selection, at least initial selection process is complete. The first round of interviews, second interviews with 3 individuals are scheduled for November the 3rd and the 4th. And so that's moving along, which is great. I handed all of you a copy of the ad that we had in the Star, actually KPC, all the newspapers, for the Highway Department. Keep your fingers crossed that that brings in some people for Ben, because we haven't had a great response on that one. So thank you for noticing it. That's the whole idea. Yay. The Sheriff's Department, they have, for confinement officers, they have 2 going through the process right now. It's just kind of a waiting game on the company that does their psych evaluations. Some of the results, they've been waiting over 4 weeks now. So I don't know if that company is just so overwhelmed or what. They have an interview for probably next week for another one. They had another inquiry, but that person had a green card only, was not a citizen, and that is a requirement for them. And then another one said that the only thing he could work was first shift. So that kind of takes him, I guess, out of the running. They need people who are able to work whatever shift that they need them. That's up to them. They have multiple applications kind of on hold due to the current tattoo policy. And they're hoping that as of January 1, the presumptive new sheriff will have a different policy on tattoos. So, and
I
if
think a
that...
lot will change in that department come January 1 in a lot of different ways.
Yep. Well, if that does go through, they have 3, according to my contact over there, 3 potential good candidates who will apply. But it's the tattoo policy that is holding them up. Development Services, they started their part-time administrative assistant, and so we'll go through the training process. Hopefully that goes well. That person will be doing the planning, zoning, those meetings, and then also some hours during the day to cover for lunches, and giving them a little extra support during the day. And Sunny Meadows, shock upon shock, is will by the end of this week be fully staffed except for the director position. And that December 13th is definitely Don's last day. I heard from someone who had talked to Don and had reconfirmed that it was definitely his last day. So anyway, and I gave you a hard copy. I had emailed you a draft, or just a rough draft, that I quickly put together of an interim director's position posting. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read it this, last week, but sometimes it's better to have it in your hot little hands so you can cross things out and write things in. So anyway, any more discussion on that for Sunny Meadows?
Anything, Todd or Mike, Sunny Meadows?
The assessments are scheduled
At the 4th?
for 4th, yeah. 9 in the morning, I'll begin those, so. And then we move forward from there.
4th of November, right?
Yep, 4th of November. Yeah, okay, great. Let's see, also one of the handouts I gave you is this Thursday, the Indiana Public Employees Retirement Fund representative for our area will be up here at City Council chambers. The city and county are doing a combined meeting since we basically have the same plan with PERF, although the city actually contributes the 3% that is required of the employees. But that's really the only difference between the two plans. So the rep will be there for 2 different meetings. If you are at all available, like I said, City Council chambers. And then Anthem, our insurance carrier right now, will be conducting some voluntary meetings on the 16th and the 30th to talk about Medicare. We have employees who are dealing with parents who are on Medicare or getting to be, of that age. We have employees who are currently on that plan, and then we have others who are nearing retirement or thinking about it. So just a nice open meeting for our representative has information that they will provide, and I have been assured that they will not be pushing any Anthem products, but of course the Anthem name will be prominent. They also have a website that that anyone who is contemplating going on Medicare can go into and take a look at the different plans that are appropriate or available for our area of Indiana. And I went ahead and I thought, oh, what the heck, I'd go ahead and put in my information. Yeah, my doctor's not on their plan, this isn't on the plan. Nothing was on the plan that was recommended to me initially. So anyway, hopefully there will be some good informational meetings for our employees. And again, another educational opportunity for the healthcare of our employees. HSA update. The federal government has, the IRS has increased the contributions that employees may make to their HSA. And so we have last week sent out to all of our employees who have the HSA the updated forms for them to either make a change if they wanted to increase their own contributions. It doesn't increase what the county does. Now, remember, the county contributes on a plan year basis, so that's July to June, but the IRS, their regulations are on an annual, a calendar year, so that's why we end up, and it does confuse some employees from time to time. So, but it's a good thing we're available, and also with the HSA, they are changing, our Old National is moving the administrator to UMB, and our employees hopefully have had received information from UMB and Old National to talk about the transfer and how that's going to play out. I know payroll has already gotten information how we're going to make our contributions to the UMB. So hopefully that's going to be, a smooth process. We keep our fingers crossed. They're hardly ever smooth process, but I know I'm still waiting to get my information on creating an account with UMB. I currently have one with Old National, but so we keep up on that. And if I get anything, I'm trying to present that to our employees, just in case maybe they're seeing something in the mail and they're throwing it because they think it's it's trash. So I'm trying to make sure that our employees know, no, this is real. This is real. Let's see. I already talked about that. So we have a lot of end-of-the-year transitions that will be happening because we have people who are leaving office and new people coming in because of the elections. So we're trying to make sure that after the election we have all of our ducks in a row, and we've contacted the new people coming on board if they need to fill out new forms, things that we need to do, forms that we need to fill out, and just so we have a paper trail. Sometimes it's nice just to have that documentation to back up what's in the computer. So we're working on all of those things.
At conference this last week, the AIC announced that December 6th, 7th, and 8th will be the newly elected officials training.
Yep.
So if anybody's asking you, that's...
Okay. Yeah, great. Let's see.
Please encourage that.
Oh, I will. Yes, I certainly will. I tell you, the presumptive coroner has been in touch with me for the past several months, probably since the primary, and talking about, well, what will I need to know? What will I need to do? And so we've been back and forth. So that's a really great line of communication that I have with Jenny. So that's good. Something that came up in a discussion from sort of the Job Classification Subcommittee, there were actually two topics that I needed to bring here. One was the survey results, and didn't know if Jim had redacted all that he needed to redact, and if that was going to be available, posted on the intranet. I heard that on that survey that the commissioners had done. Yeah. And so, yeah.
When you said survey, I thought I was supposed to do something for the surveyors.
Oh, no. No, let's not talk about that department.
And I'll have that for next week.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, that was brought up. The other thing was one of the topics during the Job Classification Subcommittee, the main reason that they were asked to get together was longevity, taking a look at adding that to the compensation package. Well, then the conversation morphed into, what are we doing for recognition of our employees? Not just, not just monetary. And there were different things were thrown out, gift cards from a local business, an extra PTO day. We had a department head who, we actually had department heads who were in attendance, and one of them mentioned that with the longevity of her employees, who can hardly take the 30 days of PTO that they are given, one extra day won't be really a big excitement. And then they talked about the annual meetings that used to be held in the at the courthouse, and the boxed lunches that were done last year. The comment was, we had comments that, well, they were nice, then another one, they were forced and they were very uncomfortable. So I wanted to bring those up because we are getting to, it's now November, and didn't know what the plan might be for any sort of recognition. Last year, we did recognize those individuals who had hit certain milestones with certificates, and along with, having that boxed luncheon with their department. So something that we need to probably discuss. Like I said, I had good ones, good comments, and I had not so good comments. So
That's not surprising.
I know, yeah.
Typical of any group that size.
So one thing, I did purchase more of those, that certificate paper. So if those are something that you guys would like to do again, we are prepared for that. So something to think about, wanted to bring it to your attention. And really, the next thing is I had when I was at conference, and even before, Jack Smith, Jason Meeks, we might have had one other person, and myself, attended a meeting earlier this year at the Eckerd Public Library regarding technology, cybersecurity, and this, the Indiana Office of Technology is really pushing all of the entities to go to instead of the way that our email addresses are, in.us, more of a .gov. Those are more secure. Another thing that they are pushing is know before, the training that we have had in place for the last several years. Now it is free. Thanks to the Indiana Office of Technology, and Jack jumped right on that immediately as soon as that happened. So that's great. We're no longer paying for that program to train our employees to hopefully keep our information safe from cyber hackers or whatever. The next thing that they have when I was at conference was they have a SEALS program, SEALS. It's State Earn and Learn program. And it's kind of an apprenticeship, kind of an internship for IT people. And I had a nice conversation with the director of that program in Indy. Right now, it's pretty much Indy-centric, as you can imagine. They start things out there and then start to branch them out. Have let Jack know about this, especially as, he would love to have another IT person, and probably somebody whose main focus would be cybersecurity and making sure that our information is safe. So something to think about. It would be a cost share program where the IoT would pay part of the wages and we would pay the other part while this person was doing some training. And so anyway, just wanted to bring that to your attention. It's, Jack's department already had a retirement, and then the person who filled that spot resigned. We now have a new person in that position, but we have an employee who is retiring next June or July, and then we have another one who will be retiring December-ish of 2024. Jack is also contemplating that same time frame. So, the succession plan, we can't have a succession plan because there's very few employees left to succeed into any of those positions. So we need to start growing some. We do have our part-time employee who will get his degree from Indiana Tech, and we will keep our fingers crossed that the six-figure recruiters don't come in and try to, steal them away.
That's going to happen.
I'm just, it's just something that I would say keeps me up at night, but, hey, there are other things that keep me up at night. So anyway, so we're looking at that. And there's that. Still looking at being self-insured. Don't know if you have anything to say about that, Mike?
Yeah.
No, okay. So, looking at options and trying to put together maybe even a timeline, how we could accomplish all of that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I had on my agenda. Almost used up all my half an hour.
I think we can probably have that timeline in a week or so, before Thanksgiving, I believe, yeah.
Todd, anything for Dottie? Mike, anything else? I've got one thing. I want to go back to the employee longevity benefits. I'm kind of thinking that, they are actually awarded longevity with additional PTO days. So I would suggest a nice certificate on those anniversaries when they gain that extra PTO, that we give them a certificate. I don't know why we would actually need to do much more than that. That's my opinion.
I can give you about 50 reasons why we need to do more than that if we're going to keep good people.
We're keeping good people. We're not having that much trouble, not any more than anybody else. The amount of benefits they have with the short work week and the holidays and everything, that's where I'm at on it.
Who is it that can't get all their PTO in? They can't get enough time off? Which office?
Well, we actually have probably a few offices, but the department head who was in attendance at that meeting was the clerk.
Clerk?
Yeah. It's hard when you have certain times of the year where it's all hands on deck, and so employees can't take time off, and they already have, 30 plus days of PTO to use up. Now, granted, they're allowed to carry over 10, but that still leaves 20. So anyway, that was what the department head mentioned during the meeting.
Anything else, Dottie?
No?
All right. Well, you guys know where I live.
Yep. If you can find your way back now.
Yeah, I know, and
Yeah.
I think it's clearing. I think it's clearing.
Okay, let's jump right over into payroll. You want to pay the folks?
I'll move to approve payroll.
Second?
A motion is second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed to the same. Motion carries. Payroll is approved. Minutes. Get a chance to read the minutes.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
A motion is second to approve minutes. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same. Minutes are approved. Travel.
Easy one today.
Just one?
One on the sheriff's office, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'll
yes,
move
some
it.
training and
Yeah.
There wasn't any mileage, no motels, what? I don't
No,
think.
it's $1,200, but I think it was
Yeah, the
entry fee.
registration.
Yeah, I'll move to approve travel as presented.
Yep, second.
Motion second to approve travel. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Travel is approved. Okay, we're just zelling along here. Miscellaneous topics.
Got one, you wanted me to check on the insurance for the animal shelter for Butler to use it. Mike Shurek said, we have $1 million plus $5 million, and he thinks the city of Butler has the same. I haven't heard back from Mike Hartman yet to hear, but he says more importantly, we should have a contract with them, a hold harmless clause in the county's favor, and also a waiver of subrogation. And the way I understand a waiver of subrogation is that if their insurance company pays, they won't turn around and sue us for the money then to recoup. So, Jim, did you get that? Waiver of subrogation and a hold harmless. Now, I do have a question, though. So, Johnny Fireman goes and gets hurt. He didn't sign the waiver of subrogation. He didn't sign the hold harmless. His boss did. Can't he individually sue? If I'm a fireman and I get hurt on the job, wouldn't I individually sue the county anyway?
Yeah.
Hurt on the job, you mean? But can't you go for civil damages past that? You can't? It is an exclusive. Okay, that's all I want to make sure.
Workers' comp.
So this is, just to make sure that I've got it right. I know Mike is sure because the one who told you that.
Yes.
And it's going to be hold harmless with use of the
Yes,
building on US 6.
yes. And then a waiver of subrogation with that entity also, City of Butler. So if we do that, I assume Mike Hartman will get back to me, but if they have similar insurance, I would think $1 million, for the type of stuff we're dealing with.
Well, we'd like to see that with an endorsement
Right,
for the county
right.
on, contract. Should we alert, we own the dirt, but isn't the building still up?
Yeah, and I talked to Dave Hauser, not that they
Okay,
had a
that's
meeting,
where I
but he
was
said,
going with that.
he says it's getting torn down anyway, I don't care what you do to it, so.
Okay. Yeah, they,
somebody,
they have some potential liability issues, and I'll call them, or you can if you want, over somebody getting hurt
Oh, 'cause
while
they own the
they're, even
building.
if they're trespassing, suing for dangerous conditions.
Well, good, if they win the lawsuit, they get 100 cats and 150 dogs, so there's your payment.
My guess is they'll have some ambulance chasing attorney who's not gonna find that positive remedy.
250 dogs?
You wanna call them, or do you want me to?
Why don't you give them a call, just to let them know what's happening.
Have you heard anything back on the appraisal for that facility to sell as is?
Have not heard back yet.
Nothing yet.
Yeah, and I did hear what they did, though. Dave Hauser called Mr. Good and was shocked how much it was going to cost, because Dave thought, well, building's just the dirt, 2 acres, whatever. But Dave thought that John was doing it. Well, Dave called 6 weeks later, because Mr. Good said 6 weeks. He goes, well, I didn't think he actually wanted me to do it. I thought you just wanted a quote. So it is being done now. But I think they're putting a little rush on it now, too.
Oh, okay.
Lack of
It was just,
communication.
yeah, it was just a misstep in communication. I don't think,
That same building.
yeah, yeah. And then I think Brett Henderson may be trying to get one, too, because he wants to bid on it, and he's willing to pay for an appraisal. Because we really need 2 appraisals to,
Yeah.
so if 2 different
Me too,
entities
anyway.
are covering our appraisals for us, wonderful,
Yeah.
Whether Brett gets it or not is whether he bids enough, I guess.
Okay, okay.
That's-
Anything else?
Just a thought, Todd, and you may have already had this discussion with John, but we need the appraisal broken into two parts. One for the dirt, the ground, and one
For the building?
the
The
building.
improvements.
So the ground 100 grand, the building negative 30 grand, is that what you want on there?
That works for me, if we can get John Good to say it.
Okay. All right, I will,
Yeah, be interesting to get comps on that, right?
yeah.
Are we saying that that check, when that is sold, gets split?
Well, no, the building has negative value in my opinion, so I don't know would that really make a difference to have an appraisal on the building separately?
You've got a paper trail, then
Yeah,
I think it
I
would be
think-
worth it.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
Because the building's not movable. It's a block building
I get it, but all that gets taken into account
on the appraisal.
on the appraisal, and then you still have a safe harbor for the future.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Miscellaneously,
Yeah.
there are 3 parcels of property in Waterloo. Used to be the old S&S oil company, Yancey Stone Street's property. That's a habitual tax sale property, never sells.
Is that on the corner, or when you get on the curve there, when you go past the bank?
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
The
think
little
I-
gas
Across
filling
from the
station there,
dentist's
yeah.
office.
Yeah.
Waterloo would be interested in obtaining that on a commissioner certificate sale. They think that they might be able to get that developed and back on the tax rolls.
Wow.
So I told Pam I'd bring that up and see what everybody thought about making that happen.
I assume that
So,
one.
if it's the same one I'm thinking of, it went through regular tax sale, did not sell,
A couple of times, I think.
many times.
Yeah.
Many.
So, as far as I remember, since it's been through there and it's your certificate, you can reassign that to them currently without waiting for a commissioner's sale. And then they do all their,
And what's really important is that you never
Take
take title.
deed. No.
Because when you have a gas station, there's always a chance of having issues. And if we have the certificate, that's not evidence of ownership. We just have a legal right to assign the certificate, not deed it to them, assign the certificate to them.
Yeah.
so
And that
if,
gets all done through.
so if you assign it
We never take
sooner,
deed.
like if you assign it,
We never take deed, so we never take liability.
Right.
so if you assign it, say now, then that starts the 120-day redemption period now, and then Waterloo would get it sooner than waiting for a commissioner's sale.
I would have no problem with that. It's worth nothing. And if they can do something with it, Waterloo's been good to us. I'd like to help them.
So, can we officially do it next week, and I'll have all the certificate and everything
Yes.
ready to
Would you
roll?
please?
Let's do that.
Although I heard the gas that spilled out of them tanks there was gas that was produced from Russian and Venezuelan oil, so it's clean, so it shouldn't be any problem, right?
That's true.
I mean, as a United States oil, it'd be a real mess, but since it came from over there,
Well, if
Maybe-
we're getting rid of the certificate, you can decide whether you want to let him know that or not.
all right.
Jim, we had a little bit of a conversation. I just need some clarification on assigning a certificate is generally just to another government unit. Is that
So
correct?
there are some other sections of the code relating to that would allow us to transfer it to a neighboring property owner, to a 501c entity. But for our purposes now, we just want it to be of the municipality. And that's where it more often happens, and I think we can push it along quicker
Yeah.
than we can with some of the other avenues for other entities. 501c and
Yeah.
those kinds of things.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
We did the same thing for Butler on those those properties,
Yeah,
right? We
yeah, we did.
we signed certificates over and,
Yeah, Butler
Yeah,
Company.
and we've got, there's
Right.
another Butler property in
yes.
play, but I think that the city's not interested in that. I think Mike is personally in that.
Oh,
So
that's a
why-
different story,
That's
yeah.
why I was asking about that.
Yeah.
Because I'd like,
Sure.
I'd like to see that get back on the
On
tax
tax
rolls
rolls,
too.
for sure,
But I'm not sure we can do it that way.
sure.
Jim, do you have anything more for us on the NIPSCO situation with the new highway?
Yes, I filed a lawsuit on Thursday. For some reason, it hasn't been, you have to do those things electronically. And so it got done. We usually get an acknowledgement by now that it has been filed with the file number and everything else on it. I haven't, as of early this morning, I hadn't heard anything yet. But of course, we had a weekend in there as well.
Who do you file that with?
I filed it with DeKalb court system.
Is that how you do it? Did they determine then where that goes?
Well, I called the office that covers this, called somebody, Utilities Commission, and he did a check and told me that the only thing they have jurisdiction is if somebody didn't comply with
Oh.
the Indiana Administrative Code. So they would have no issue with whatever we did. I filed it in DeKalb County. My guess is, NIPSCO has deep pockets, as you might imagine. So my guess is they're going to do everything they can to say we didn't do it right. I believe we did do it right. The main issue in this case is going to be whether or not it was only an estimate that NIPSCO gave us, because they consider it only an estimate until you actually have signed a contract. But there were 2 or 3 officials from NIPSCO who said, hey, if you want to lock in the price and move forward, you need to
Sign now.
give us notice, and you need to sign now. We contacted them through Ben and asked them to give us an invoice, because that's the only way we could make a payment and satisfy the State Board of Accounts. And also, there was something else in there that, we wanted the contract. And they wouldn't send us a contract for the $1,400. They sent us a contract later on
5,000.
for the $55,000, but we're not going with that. So I had intended to, once it got filed, I had intended to forward the filing with the complaint and the summons. I served 2 people. You have no idea. There are 2 pages, single-spaced, on the Indiana Secretary of State's page for different entities of NIPSCO. So what I did was, the person we had been dealing with is in charge of new business. And I served him, and then I threw something in just creatively that we used to do. I don't know if they even still do it. Highest officer found on the certified mail certificate. So as soon as I get that, it'll be forwarded to each of you. But expect a long, drawn-out pain, but there's enough money involved. The other thing I would like, I mentioned this on the phone to Bill last week, the end of last week, before we filed. I do transactional law and probate and wills and stuff, and I do this kind of stuff, but I don't do litigation as a general rule. I would like to bring in one of the partners to handle the litigation part of it. He's willing to do it if he can collect his normal hourly rate, which is not as bad as Randy Rompola or Baker Tilly, but it's around $330 or $40 an hour. But he's an excellent litigator. He's a DeKalb County native. If you know Jeff and Susan Bragg, she was at DeKalb for years and years. She's retired now. Jeff was an engineer for the city of Auburn. They live in the house that you would drive into if you were coming from the south on Main Street, where the S curve is. It's the second one in. Jeremy Grog is his name. I'd like to get him on board as soon as I can, but I need your authorization to do it. And I recommend it highly.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part of it is, he's a bulldog in court. And you'd like to have somebody like that.
When does his fee start? When he actually go to court, or would there be some?
No, starts as soon as we get him on board with doing stuff. As soon as we hear from an attorney for NIPSCO, we're going to want to have him on board, because there's more stuff that gets done pre-trial
Yeah.
than during the trial itself.
Seems like you could spend 10 to 15,000 in legal fees real quick going that approach. I don't know.
Yeah, you could, and I think we've got, and I invite you three to review the complaint that I prepared. I'm pretty satisfied with that, because I think that making the comment about locking in the price, and he even tied it in with the fact that they fired the guy that did the $1,400 estimate. This one guy says, hey, they're not going to be held to that unless you commit.
I'm just trying to figure out.
And we send him a commitment. There was the estimate that Bill signed with authority from the commissioners. And I just think.
Just trying to figure out why we need to pay someone else to do what I considered a cut and dry case. We're either going to win or lose on the merit of whether or not the document, an estimate, constitutes a obligation by them. I'm not sure how much digging in law that really takes to figure out that we have to pay someone $3.40 an hour to do. But I mean,
obviously I disagree with that, or I wouldn't have recommended it.
oh, I'm not saying you're not, but I'm just wondering why you can't handle that.
Because I don't know the intricacies, the ins and outs of how to handle litigation. If it gets that far, there's a very good chance that a judge would make us go to mediation. There's just all kinds of things that are involved in that I don't do on a regular basis. And I think that without having somebody with experience in litigation, I think that I'm doing a disservice to the county. But I'm covering that by saying this is what you ought to do.
Well, and I respect that, Jim. That's kind of like having your family doctor do heart surgery on you. I mean, litigation is a special.
It is a good example to use.
If we, and I would advise that let's just sit tight until we get a response from NIPSCO. It looks like there's an opportunity to settle.
I'm fine with any of that.
Yeah.
Just for an example for you, I went through a divorce, as many people have. I'm not proud of it, but it was about 28 or 29 years ago. And at that time, I knew enough not to be involved trying my own case. And I hired another lawyer and ended up paying over $12,000 in 1993 because I felt that I needed it, even though that law is not very complicated, but I wanted somebody who was going to be objective.
I kind of agree with Mike. Let's hold tight until, let's see if we get a reply, what the reply might be, and then go from there.
Probably shouldn't even
And
talk
I'm
about it
starting to
anymore. Just
wonder-
kinda-
Yeah, and I
wonder if there's more to this than the employee that got fired. The way we buy gas now through the broker,
Yeah.
how does that affect NIPSCO's bottom line as far as how much they'll make off of that gas if we go that route, and I assume we would? How does that affect NIPSCO and their revenue gain off of putting that line in?
They still get the transfer fees regardless, so if we buy gas from someone else, NIPSCO still gets a flowage fee or whatever, delivery fee or whatever they call it. They probably don't, I don't know that they mark up the gas per se over, I think they're regulated on what they can mark the gas up, number one, from market. Now, good question though, but they would have lost the same. We were with the other trader before, so NIPSCO was in the same position with us before. The other trader supplied our gas, NIPSCO got their flowage fee or whatever they call it, their delivery fees for that, and storage fees also and whatever. But, yeah, I don't think that changed any, Bill, because they were still under market before, or we were with we weren't with NIPSCO initially.
Yeah.
So I don't think we made them mad by doing that, but they just made an error that they had to pay for.
I was just
simple.
curious. I
Yeah.
didn't know
Yeah.
if there might be something more to it than what meets the eye.
I don't think they,
Okay.
and I certainly don't object to spending 10,000 in legal fees to save 50,000.
Well, I know, I just don't want to spend 10 or 15 and lose.
Well, what I
Yeah.
would expect though is that if we prevail, I think we should ask for attorney fees.
Yeah, I would,
Yeah, so-
I thought that's how I was,
Happen unless you can prove good faith, and that's very hard to do with the judge, especially if he's gonna rule your way. He or she.
I think it should always be loser pays. Loser pays
Yeah,
everything.
but it's not that way.
It should be.
There's a statute that specifically says the loser has to pay fees, or you need some sort of federal legislation. I'm not sure about state off the top of my head, but there was something called the Magnuson, something Act, and that's what allows you to go after car dealers,
Yeah.
interestingly enough.
Sure.
Magnuson Moss.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
Anything?
didn't bring it up because of the car dealer
Oh.
aspect.
I've never been sued and never sued anyone, so I don't, to me, it's a waste of time. Do what you say you're gonna do. They said they were gonna do it. They gave us a price.
I got
Yeah.
sued once, totally without merit. I ended up paying my $5,000 deductible, and my professional liability insurer paid like $2,000 to get rid of it on a nuisance settlement.
Wow.
But you still,
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it on that subject?
it is.
All right. I think it is for everyone, I hope. Chris, you are up. Put that mic up good and close. My good ear has went AWOL on me.
Uh-oh. So speak really
Water
close to the
behind
mic.
the eardrum now on the good ear, so I'm half deaf.
I have 2 zone map amendment ordinances to bring forward today. The first one is for property located at County Road 61 and County Road 34. It's about 36 total acres, 2 separate property owners. Requesting to change from I3 high-intensity industrial to A2 agricultural. Those properties were rezoned back in 2009 when our UDO was newly created from our old master plan. And apparently at that time, the Planning Commission thought that County Road 61 would be some sort of industrial corridor up to Butler. And these 2 property owners have wished to change their zoning from that I3 high-intensity industrial to A2 agricultural. It's pretty cut and dry. I think it makes sense. The property, one property is the Kragers. They have a single-family home on the property, and the Dillinghams is just a vacant land that half of it's about half of it's woodlands, half of it's agricultural. It's vacant. He doesn't have any plans to put anything on the property. He said at the Planning Commission meeting that they use it as a recreational ground right now, but he may in the future decide to put a single-family house on the property. So if it was stayed zoned industrial or high-intensity industrial, they wouldn't be able to put a single-family home on the property. And then also with the Kragers, theirs is probably about 3 acres of land. If they would ever have a fire or something that they have to rebuild the entire house, they wouldn't be able to without going to the Board of Zoning Appeals or through the Plan Commission to get the rezone. So have that one for you. If you have any questions.
See the pictures? Of the
Yeah,
land?
sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I
know you
didn't
emailed it. I
print any
couldn't
off.
open it on my
Oh,
phone.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's,
I
my
didn't
phone
print
won't
anything off
open
today.
certain
Mine
PDFs.
wouldn't either. Wouldn't open it.
EMLs or whatever that .eml, is that how you said it?
I sent it via PDF. I don't know how Susan sent it to you.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna blame the Wicked Witch.
Emma Queen, thank you.
Oh, that Queen.
There was a reason why that was all zoned the way it was for industry, and that was because the county at the time wanted to be proactive in case somebody wanted to have another industrial facility. It was mainly to create that corridor
Yeah.
on County Road 61 going north to US 6. And in fact, the county justified through the redevelopment commission making a contribution to the new Butler Fire Department on US 6, right on at that intersection, because they were equipping it with a lot of things that specifically would help with an industrial fire. I don't think at the time, I was their attorney, I recommended taking more ground. I don't know that they took enough ground to really be able to entice a big industry. They'd have to probably go through some kind of other process, I don't know. I'm not taking a position on it, I don't really care what happens, because it's not within my scope, to make those decisions. That's up to the commissioners. And I'm not sure that there's enough land depth-wise off of both sides of County Road 61 to really help. But I think I'd like to have you just take a look at the zoning map from Chris and just see how wide the zoning goes that we have currently, and just wait a week to stop. I would have talked to you, but I didn't see
I
it.
wish you would have.
Well, I didn't see it until this morning when I downloaded what we had from the auditor about what was on the agenda today. So I'm sorry
That's
about
right.
that.
I think that I take a different approach than probably they did back in 2009. Even in 2009, after the recession hit and I was without a job, I probably wouldn't have done it this intensely. That's what I want to use. I think that it's very forward thinking to think that there's going to be that much industry coming to DeKalb County from Butler down to SDI. I don't believe that that's how industry is looking right now. I think a lot of it is retraction and retention of current jobs and expansion of existing industry. Personally, I think that if industry is going to come to DeKalb, they're going to have to rezone into something else anyway. And if these properties would get sold, then they would rezone that at that time. I think it was a little poor to rezone single-family homes to industrial, especially after 2006, 2007, because mortgage companies at that point in time just started hitting hard at making sure that properties were able to be purchased and rebuilt if something would happen. At this point in time, currently, she wouldn't be able to even rebuild a house, get a refi on a mortgage, or anything like that. So
How did this get changed originally?
the Plan Commission and the county commissioners.
This happened to us once when we owned our dealership on South
Yeah.
Wayne in Auburn. All of a sudden, we get a notice that we've been changed from commercial to residential, but we can still operate until,
Still operate until something happens.
and we said, we never got a notice. Well, it was in the paper.
Yeah.
And I said, so we got it reverted back, but it
Yeah.
took almost a year to get reverted back to commercial. But why would you, and I get, they say, hey, we want to make sure if this grows to Butler and this completes then again, let landowners decide, if they want to sell and
Well,
convert to
when
industrial.
when the UDO was passed, though, they didn't look at each individual parcel. They
Right.
just blanket
Right.
rezoned.
And they didn't even,
Based on the
just to get into a little bit of
comprehensive.
history, they didn't even look at properties that were rezoned previously. So properties that were residential that zoned to commercial, they made them back to residential, probably like yours, and didn't even look at the rezones that were done from 1980 to 2009 and make sure that those uses were still operating. And they caused, the Maxfield and Thrush was the most recent one that we did. They went to a rezone back in the 80s, 90s, to rezone to a commercial garage, as commercial business district. In 2009, got rezoned to residential. They wanted to sell it, didn't realize that they weren't commercial, and had issues. So the county created issues for some people. For others, the vacant farm ground, he's not going to have any problem with that if you would take it out. The Kragers, I would urge to rezone, but.
Yeah, that never should have been I-3. to
Right,
begin
I think
with.
that
You know,
it was not looked at as in-depth as
Well,
it
if you have
probably
a
could have
house
been.
on a property and you get rezoned to I-3 from Ag 2, that just seems odd to me to change it to I-3 when it was already Ag and had a house on it.
I don't disagree, we had a different development services or zoning
Yeah.
person at that time. I did not have, I'm not suggesting to you that I advocate for this, okay? So I don't have a stake in the outcome
No.
of whatever decision you make. I fully understand everything that, and appreciate and actually side with everything that Chris just said, especially with properties that lend themselves, that either do have a residence on it, or lend themselves because of their neighbors and stuff to have it be changed to residential. I don't have a problem. I'm not advocating anything. I'm just saying, so that you're aware, your predecessors,
Sorry.
and again, I don't think they kept enough ground to make it viable.
No. I
I'd
don't
like
think
to
so
look
either.
at the zoning further and before I make a decision. I'd like to look at that whole road, the width on it.
Do you want me to send that to you, or do you want to
These-
stop by?
I'll just stop by.
Okay.
That way I think you can show it to, I'm a visual person, if you can point
These,
it out.
these two parcels make sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a unanimous plan commission decision for approval too, so.
Approval for,
Rezone.
to rezone it
Yeah.
to I-3?
They
No,
recommend,
no.
in these, it
Plan
says in
commission.
here when they
Oh.
met and everything, and it says.
Well, if they're
that
recommending
they
that, then I
are
could go with that, yeah.
providing
Plan
a
commission looked at this and
favorable.
voted unanimously
Well,
for a
for-
favorable recommendation.
Okay,
to
for these
rezone.
two, I could get, I didn't want to do the whole road.
No. But I'll come take a look, it doesn't have to be
I'd
now,
like to
but if
still
you want to
look
come
at
take
it.
a look at that whole road.
Okay, we'll table it to next week.
I would like to, and I'm in favor of it probably. I just want to make sure I know what, the zoning thing's got me on edge a little bit anyway with the solar farms and overlays, and I really want to make sure I understand this before I make decisions.
Okay,
Sounds
let's
good.
do that. I don't think there's a big rush anyway. Let's
No.
table it.
That's fine.
And we'll do it
This
next
next
week.
one does have a rush on it. Hopefully you don't have any issues with it.
All right. I'll try not to, unless I don't
There
understand
shouldn't
it.
There shouldn't be. Do you need to make a motion to that, or just, no?
No.
Okay. Susan, do you want to look at a time for next week? I'm here at 9:15 for a,
We don't have a lot. Next week is jam-packed because everything's getting done, so you guys can start evaluations at 10:15.
Yeah.
do you want,
So
I'm here at 9:15, I think, for that property cleanup.
we'll just throw it in there.
Just do it then after that. Okay. Cool.
What else you got?
The next one is at 1221 State Road 8 in Auburn.
Oh, you're as good at that as I am. You, whatever you like. Thank you.
Turn your mic on if it's not.
Sorry,
please.
thank you. This is for property that used to be owned by the used car lot there on State Road 8 and kind of corner 327. The Blakesleys, Charles and Linda Blakesley, I believe they owned the car lot,
Okay.
if I remember right. and then owned the house just north of there. It used to be one whole piece of land, probably about 2 acres. They split the house out and are now wishing to sell. Charles is passed, and Linda's trying to sell the house. And with this, as you guys have, we've heard, anyone, unless they have cash, can't get a mortgage on this house because of it not being zoned correctly. So
How
this
is his own seat? Is it commercial?
C2 commercial,
C2,
yep,
okay.
yep. The adjacent to it's the mobile home dealer.
Yep. That's
That's what they are. Vacant land to the east, residential to the north, and then commercial to the south. I was a bit concerned at first because it's surrounded by commercial. But again, I would assume that whoever's purchasing this property has looked at the surroundings and understand that they're going to have a mobile home lot to the west and a used car lot to the south. So they can't really complain to us if they have any potential issues.
What's their access to that property from the road?
Yeah, so it is an easement up to this property.
Through the commercial land to the south? That's interesting
So
because.
you can see this, that
Really?
dash line, yeah, there's a easement through the north.
Is there a drive there?
There is,
And that's a deeded easement, I think.
It is.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they have proper access then?
They have access. Right.
That's interesting because that's a commercial entity from the highway standpoint. I know you got to have a certain drive for the amount of traffic, like you can't have more than 2 residences on one drive. Is that correct?
For the highway
The highway
department,
department, yeah. Or that's off of State Road 3.
this is off of State Road 8, but
Okay, so
the highway department, we don't allow more than typically a shared driveway
Yeah.
because of the problems
would
that come
be
with
shared.
it. But they've got issues, they've got to deal with the State Road 8 and NDOT on that rather than us.
Yeah, than us, okay.
So and State Road 8, I'm assuming, would probably rather have it be one lot, one driveway than
Oh, yeah.
2.
They wouldn't allow 2 next to each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
I'm okay with that. if
So,
that's- I mean, if people, the zoning, people know, hey, surrounded by commercial, I'm not gonna gripe when,
yeah.
you know.
That was
when you
my
buy
initial
it.
concern.
What do you think?
I have no problem going backwards in zoning to like residential. If people want it, I have no problem with it. I'm more cautious going up towards the industrial levels with stuff to affect owners' property values. If you go backwards, that's on them, if they want to take the risk. What are your thoughts?
I guess I agree, it's it's kind of an odd duck, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was weird, and the people that bought the used car lot didn't want the house. So Linda was like, well, I'll just split that off and sell it, which makes total sense until you get into people can't get any mortgages because the property's zoned wrong. And if the house would ever, again, burn down, if something would happen to it, they want to add on, they wouldn't be able to do it under that current C2 zoning district.
That was another unanimous.
Unanimous recommendation from the Plan Commission, yeah.
Recommendation.
Yeah.
So that's a C2 to R1,
R1.
okay.
Yep.
All right, I'll move that we approve the rezoning of the property at 1221 State Road 8 from C2 to R1.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Are there any additional comments?
For the record, it's Resolution 2022-R-19 UDO 81.
I will incorporate that in my motion.
There you go. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Sign that, please.
Chris Gomer. Oh,
Whenever you want to stop by, Todd.
yeah, I'd just like to look
I'm
at
there.
that. I'm visual, I need to see stuff and.
Yeah, totally understand.
And you'll record and send it to me?
I'll record this one and send it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
See you guys soon.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yep, I'll pop by after the meeting, just if you're gonna be there, 5 minutes, just show me what I'm looking at. All right.
All right, you want to do the Butler Library?
Yes, if you want.
Yes.
The library, Butler
wow.
Public, they had a board position that was vacated by a former member, and they are requesting that Daniel Pugh be appointed to start November 1st, 2022, and end the term on the 31st of December.
Know nothing about them, so I have no objection.
Yeah. They've found a person
They
as a
found a person.
replacement. I trust that
Yeah.
they're satisfied with that. I don't know why we wouldn't,
Yeah. Well,
unless he's a
I'm
felon
sure-
or something.
I'm sure Sarah was very thorough in her
Yeah.
choice. She's that way.
Yeah,
Motion?
I'll move that we approve the appointment of Daniel Pugh to the Butler Library Board.
I'll second.
A motion is second. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay. Yes. Okay. Is there any other miscellaneous at this time? Anyone? Last chance?
I do not have anything.
Nothing.
I've got a couple of things that'll probably dovetail better with when Ben gets here, so. I've got a couple of things that'll probably dovetail with Ben
With
better,
Ben,
so
yeah,
I'll wait till,
I do too.
wait till he gets here.
Well, you got 5. You want 5 minutes? Yeah.
All right, I'm timing you.
Andrew Provines, 3920 County Road 75, Butler, Indiana. I'm actually not even here to harass you about solar this week, so that's a good thing.
Is that mic on?
What's that?
Is
Yeah,
that
I
mic-
turned it on. It's on.
It's on.
Yeah, I can hear it.
I actually, when I left here last week, I got home and I started watching the commissioners meeting because, that's what I'm into. I enjoy just watching these as they move along. But I was a little dismayed toward the end of the meeting when it was stated that Mr. Provines contacted Byler Winery and threatened their livelihood with a boycott. I want to, on the record, and I'm here on the record to say that at no time did I contact Byler Winery and threaten them in any way, shape, or form. I called Byler Lane Winery to make them aware of the situation out of an overabundance of care and concern for their local business. And I was thanked by Byler Winery for bringing them up to speed and letting them know what was going on so that they could make their proper decision, so they could handle it in the way that they saw fit the best. I, told them 100% on board, whatever you want. If you don't want anything, if you just want us to sit and not do anything, or, just listen to what you guys want to do. And he said, we need to figure out how to take care of this. We don't know, just sit tight. So we did. So Mr. Provines never threatened anyone and would not threaten a local business. I believe in the local businesses, especially Byler. So that's really all I have.
Okay.
Mr. Byler did confirm that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
anyone else? Anything? Members of the audience? Nothing? Okay.
I like the new dress code. I think we should.
I'm not so sure, but for a day.
What's it going to look like at Christmas?
I don't know. It might be a surprise.
Okay, Tracy Bell. Good morning.
Dale was unable to make it. He said he might try to get here. Dale Hummer, yeah. He's going to try to get here. He's battling some health issues. So keep him in your thoughts, please. He called me this morning with an emergency.
Oh, boy.
So he had to go to Fort Wayne.
Oh,
I love your costume, by the way,
Thank
the
you.
dress. Okay, third quarter update for DART. We have the 5311 submission was approved for 2023. Everything is through. We just had a couple of tweaks. We did ask for a little extra funding because they had it available. So that would make our match be less on our end. So we asked for an additional 26,000 due to increases of maintenance, increases of gas, increases of all of that. And we were awarded that extra 23,000. So that will help, 26,000, excuse me. So that will help a lot. I had told you all that I was going to try to employ 2 more drivers for the school year. I did. We're up to 14 drivers currently. We have another one that we're interviewing. We went from 3 routes last quarter, 4 routes that we were driving. We're up to 7 routes that we're driving now. So it has increased quite a bit. We know that it gets slower during the summer because of all the school riders. We have a lot more school riders this fall than we've had in the past. So a lot of families are starting to utilize DART to get their kids to and from school, to and from sporting activities after school, and practice.
you have an idea why that is happening?
Why that is or isn't?
Is happening, that we have more school riders?
Honestly, I think it's more convenient for parents. I think we have a lot more parents that have 2 people working now, which maybe they wouldn't have in the past, to help with their income. So I just think that has, I mean, the economy is just so different than it was in the past. A lot more people are utilizing public transportation, and we're doing a lot more advertising. So I think whereas maybe in the past, the thought was public transportation is for disabled and senior citizens, people are now starting to realize that our public transportation with DART is for everyone. That is what we've been trying to drive since I've started last October. Is I didn't know that myself before starting at DART, that it was for everyone. I thought it was for disabled and handicapped and senior citizens. So I think we've been doing a lot more with public advertising.
If you've ever seen the drop-off line at J.R. Watson
Yes.
in the morning,
Yes.
DART is a great alternative
Yes.
to sitting in line.
Absolutely.
I drive that every day.
Yes. Our fundraisers, we raised $7,000 for the organization with our current fundraiser that we just had. That's the first one I've tried to throw. It was our big hog roast hoedown that we had. It was a good turnout, even though we got rained on terribly bad. I attended a transportation annual seminar with my transportation director. We're still in need of getting those vans. We're still short one from 2021 that we have not received. We were told you probably won't receive it. It's those big transits. There's just no possible way to get those right now. But we are due for 2 minivans this year. I've submitted funding through United Way for our Q2 funding. And I'm also meeting with AWS of Fort Wayne. They have a special fund for transportation for people who serve those folks with disabilities. So I was supposed to meet with her on Thursday and she had to reschedule. So we are meeting in the near future. Quarterly invoice to date, our expense report. I think I gave each of you those. I have my invoice here for us to sign. Operations are running just about as they have been. Gas prices have come down extremely much. We did increase our rates. We're in the process of that. We did increase them by $1. So what we'll have to do is, the first step was doing the public notice for a public hearing and then taking the steps from there. I'm working very closely with Todd Jennings from NDOT. So he's walking me through that step by step since I've never done that. We're hoping to have those rates increased by the end of this year.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that.
Yes. So that will definitely be something that's going to be talked about, I'm sure, in the near future with the community. So our quarterly was $137,498.87, plus our revenue for our trips, which is up this quarter, thank goodness, $16,614, with our total being submitted for $120,884.04. The next thing that we have is our fares. Our fares were definitely up this last quarter, and I think that is going to increase. We did do lots of transportation, advertising down at the county fair, which we utilized that. We closed DART for the week and went down there. We didn't close DART, but we had a lot of maintenance that we had to do on our transportation. We had to get all of our lifts inspected. We had to do all that annual. So we spent the time doing tons and tons and tons of advertising that week. We were in the parades. And I think that is really starting to help us, is the additional talks. Janice and I are going into different nursing homes. We went to Children First Center, who serves low income. A lot of them do not have transportation to get back and forth to see their children. So we talked to all of the caseworkers about that. We have a meeting with DCS to go talk with their caseworkers to use that as options. So we're just really trying to hit the areas and the populations, schools, families, where we can get our rider fares up. That's our focus right now. And that's really all of it that I have this quarter. It's not a ton. But I did submit the invoice. Susan, I have a hard copy here as well if you need it for this quarter. You do not?
If you haven't, you might want to reach out to the folks at Fortify Life, to Jeremiah Otis. That's part of the Schweitzer Family Foundation. They deal with a lot of folks who could probably
Yes.
make good use of your services.
We've been talking with Jeremiah quite a bit.
Okay, good.
With his emergency housing, which has been helpful even for some of our seniors. And they're hosting our luncheon for Thanksgiving this month.
Oh, great.
Fortify Life is. So we've been kind of talking with them with thoughts of DART.
That's a good partnership.
Yes.
Excuse me.
And I think this AWS is going to be a great partnership for us. I don't know what all it entails, but she came to a nonprofit meeting down at the community center or the community foundation that I attended. And instantly she reached out to me, gave me her card. So, that might be another good funding for us to reach our goals and our matches each year.
Any questions or comments for Tracy?
Well done.
Thank you.
We need a motion to sign this. I take it.
Do you want a motion for the president to sign the, what is it that you're asking?
Third quarter invoice.
Third quarter invoice.
Yes.
So moved.
And seconded.
A motion and a second on the floor. Are there any additional comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Motion carries. I will sign.
Wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you. You keeping Janice under control?
I am.
Good.
Yes.
All right.
She's been so busy.
Good.
You know, we made a really great connection with Butler Bus,
Good.
and it has
Oh, yeah. Great.
Okay.
okay. Two board members.
Yeah.
Do you want to just email this to me, please? Perfect. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
Okay. Any other business before we go on break? And let's take a break.
All right.
What a
Early.
great idea.
Early.
Unless you don't want to, of course.
Breaks are always good.
I don't want to twist your arms and make you.
Tracy's was a freshman. I don't know, you guys, I don't think necessarily.
Yeah.
He was one of the best this year.
Yeah.
His grade is going to be pretty good moving along, but he really came into his own.
Really?
He's